The Ukrainian War of Independence began in November 1917 and ended in November 1921. The war was closely connected with the events of the First World War and the Russian Civil War, and came about because of conflicts between various political groups fighting for control of Ukraine. During the First World War, Ukraine was on the front line between Russia and its Entente allies on one side, and the Central Powers of Germany and Austria-Hungary on the other. In February 1917, socialists overthrew the Russian Tsar in Petrograd, Russia, and formed a new Russian government. Many groups in Russia then began demanding autonomy from the central government. Russia maintained its alliance with France and the United Kingdom and engaged in a disastrous offensive against the Central Powers. The defeat of Russian imperial forces led to widespread dissatisfaction throughout the empire. In Ukraine, three main groups became active. In the center of Ukraine, the main group was an alliance of various political parties representing a cross-section of the population and called the Central Rada. The south was influenced by anarchists and the east by Bolsheviks. The October 1917 revolution then occurred in Petrograd, Russia, resulting in the Bolshevik takeover of that nation. In November 1917, the Kiev uprising occurred, whereby Russian imperial forces were defeated by the Ukrainians, and the Central Rada took control of Kiev, and the Bolsheviks took the eastern city of Kharkiv. The two groups then entered into conflict with one another, and the Rada declared Ukrainian independence from Russia on January 22, 1918. The new Russian government backed the Ukrainian Bolsheviks, who won early battles and pushed the Central Rada back. Romania and Germany took the opportunity to take some Ukrainian territory since World War I was still ongoing. Within the month, the Central Rada was forced to sign a treaty with its once enemy Germany to drive back the Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks were swiftly defeated, and by March 3, 1918, Russia agreed to end hostilities with Germany, and Ukraine was now under German influence. Conservatives, Bolsheviks, anarchists, and others began resisting Germany, but Ukraine also became a refuge for upper and middle-class Russians fleeing the Russian Bolshevik Revolution. When World War I ended with the armistice in November 1918, Germany withdrew from Ukraine and other parts of Central Europe. Lenin's government in Russia swiftly moved into the areas left vacant by Germany, and a Soviet-styled government took over Ukraine. 1919 was marked by continued confused fighting. Poland took a portion of Ukraine where a number of Poles lived. France attempted to protect Crimea from the Bolsheviks by joining the anti-Bolshevik Russian forces there, but local attitudes against foreign intervention convinced France to leave. The anti-Bolshevik White Russians had success through the year, pushing back the Russian Bolsheviks in Russia and Central Europe, but by the end of the year, the Bolsheviks had more or less regained power throughout the region. In April 1920, Ukrainians opposed to the Bolsheviks turned to their old adversary, Poland, for help. They signed a treaty for support, and in May 1920, the Polish forces, with Russian White forces, pushed back the Russian Red forces. However, the Red forces were winning their civil war in Russia, so were able to commit more force to this war with Poland. The Red Army forces were successful in their counteroffensive and pushed into Poland. But in August 1920, the White forces thoroughly defeated the Red forces, and a truce was signed in October, with a final peace treaty between Russia and Poland ratified in April 1921. The treaty, known as the Treaty of Riga, was considered treachery on the part of Poland towards the Ukrainians fighting for independence, since Poland had agreed not to negotiate with Russia independently of the Ukrainians. Moreover, the treaty gave parts of Ukraine to Poland and parts to the Ukraine Soviet. Ukrainian independence fighters continued to battle the Bolsheviks until being surrounded and destroyed on November 17, 1921.